and welcome to another episode of the Rorschach Test Podcast. I am your host, Tyrell James. Today, I got a special guest with me, Floyd Lytes. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good about yourself.
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. So Floyd is actually the husband of Latrice Hawkins Lytes, who was running for lieutenant governor of Maryland. So
Right.
today, I interviewed her a couple weeks ago, but today I wanted to talk to him. Today is the day after the election.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff that is behind you now. But I wanted to, kind of get the perspective, the point of view from the spouse of somebody who was on the campaign trail, um, and just kind of, you can share what you can share, and of course the things that you can't share. Of course, we're not going to go there,
Yeah.
um, but I do want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about you as well. I want to kind of go a little bit back into your childhood. Um, what I like to do here is to connect um, you as a child and even growing up to you as an adult.
hmm
I like to connect the dots so it makes sense about where you are now. So I am going to ask some questions about childhood, but for the most part, we're going to kind of really deal with what it was like being on the campaign trail with your wife. So,
Cool.
uh, so first, let me just ask you, how did it feel when Treese first told you that she was going to be running for lieutenant governor of Maryland?
Well, initially, how it went down was uh, the guy, Swanee Jane, who ran for governor. I know she told the whole spiel about the church. We met in the church, and but during their conversations, I kind of got a feel from him early on. Like I kept, I think he leading up to something, and she was like what? So I was like, uh, don't be surprised if he asks you to be, lieutenant his running mate. So as time went on, when he did X, she was like, "Oh my God," She was like, so she immediately turned to me and was like, It's your call. What you think?" And
Hmm.
I'm like, "But go for it, shoot for it. I mean, it can't hurt us. It can't. Look, this is an experience that we may never have again. So definitely was behind her.
Right.
Didn't really it didn't really sink into me until it was funny because like on my birthday weekend we went to I think it was Chesapeake Beach just for a weekend, just a little getaway,
Hmm.
and we ended up having to do the whole lieutenant governor spiel during that time. So but with me, I told her, I said, look, it's my birthday, but I don't care. This is more important. Let's get this done, and we'll deal with everything else later. So it was a yeah, it's surreal, man. It's surreal. It
Hmm.
really was the whole experience.
Right.
Um,
I can imagine. I can imagine, man. I can also imagine there just being this sense of pride that you have knowing that your wife is on the campaign trail uh,
yeah,
to be the lieutenant governor of Maryland. I mean, I know that was an incredible feeling for you.
it was. It was. It still is. It was nerve wracking at times because
Oh, I'm
you
sure.
kind of trying, you're trying to figure out. Man, they gonna grill us. You watch these movies, you see, you see what
Mhm.
happens in on TV, and but you like, are they gonna dig into your business? Are they gonna be cameras every day? And you don't know what questions they're gonna ask. You don't know who coming at you. But
Mhm.
God, I would say she handled it. She handled like a champ. She never wavered. We sat down, we had long nights, long conversations about certain things, but
Mhm.
I'm proud of her. Real
Mhm.
proud of her. She did better. She handled probably better than I would have. But
Okay, so look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the pictures that I've already sent you, so you can just give a quick, just a brief recap of exactly what you saw in those pictures, and then I'm
okay,
going to have some questions about, based off of what you saw in the pictures. I'm going to have some questions for you, but a couple of my questions are going to go back to your childhood, but like I said earlier, for the most part, we're going to deal with you all being on that campaign trail.
okay.
So. Okay, we're going to start here.
Yeah,
So,
my
what
bug
exactly
face.
did you say you saw here?
It's at the face of an insect, a bug, insect that that jumped out to me automatically. Like, yeah, that's like looking at an insect. It
Mm.
almost reminded me of the movie The Fly. I guess that's maybe why it jumped out so quick. I don't know if a
I
lot of people remember that movie, but the old movie Jeff
remember that
Goldblum
movie.
and the Fly. Yeah. So that's initially what I'm looking at. Like, wow.
Okay. All right. So with insects, um, insects, there are three parts of their body. So you have the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. So I want to talk about all three of those parts of the insect. But first, I want to talk about the head. Okay.
Hmm.
Now let's go back to your childhood.
Hmm.
When you were a kid, when you were a little boy, and actually not just as a little boy, but just growing up, even into adolescence,
Hmm.
where was your head? And I mean, like, were
Hmm.
you like focused on academics? Was it girls? Was it sports? Was it video games? Like, where was your head?
Early on, early on in my childhood, I was strictly video games.
Hmm.
I was my only child, so for me it was the video game. I always had all the systems, all the games that came out. So everybody that came to my house in the morning or the afternoon, and mother, she didn't turn nobody away. So we might end up with like 8, 9 people in the room, and we all sitting there jumping
Uh,
around playing games, taking turns. But yeah, it would have been video games in the beginning. I was I probably as I got a little older, um, I was kind of all over the place, but I always called myself like I was slow in the with the aspect of women, of girls. So
okay.
to me, it was always play, 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 play.
Right.
Whether it be video games, whether it be I used to have, I don't know if you remember the electronic football fields with the little men. You turn them on, they go zzz,
Yep.
jumping
Yep.
around and everything.
Yeah.
I
I remember
was
that.
Yeah. So that was me, GI Joe. So that whole field was me. I can keep myself busy all night long just
Uh,
with doing, playing with that.
mhm.
Um, as I got older, it started changing into I was always been a gadget man. I've always loved electronics.
Okay.
But I mean, as I got older and I started getting more into girls, I started branching out into. I always loved sports. My father played sports, and so that's another thing. I grew up around sports, so
Hmm.
we came after we played video games. Most of the time, we would go play basketball, football, and baseball, maybe even soccer all in one day. Every day was the same routine. We just did it in different orders. Depending on
Gotcha.
who the first person was to knock on the door, the first person to come out, and then we just all knocking on doors until about 10 o'clock, and it's like, all right, we got a squad, let's go. So that was pretty much it up until my teenage years. I mean, life shifted for me about the teenage years, and my father and mother divorced,
Hmm.
and things got kind of real at that point for me. Wasn't a spoiled guy no more. I couldn't get everything I wanted. Though my mother tried. My mother did try, but
Hmm.
so life kind of took a little turn at that point. We lived in Kenmore, which is in Landover, right across the sit between Palm Park and Glen Arden.
Hmm.
So um, when they divorced, my mother actually pulled me from Kenmore and took me out to Severn. What's that? Oldest, off of Fort Meade. Used to be Pioneer City, and didn't like it out there. That was probably my 13, 14, 15-year age. I didn't like it out there.
Okay.
Uh, couldn't she'd be like, go outside and meet some friends, and I'm looking like it's not my type of friends, man.
Right.
But so she would. I met a neighbor, and the neighbor he's a younger guy, but he um he did model trucks. He did a lot of models. So he got me into that. He pulled me over. He said, "Hey, man, look, showed me how to spray paint, put them together, cut that." So I built like three model tractor trailers, and I
Wow.
fell in love with tractor trailers. And
Mhm.
one thing I did forget, I've always been in love with trains. So I had like when I was young, I had every train set you can put together, and every
Mhm.
little train in my little cities I used to try. But I got carried away. I used to hit the little men and break them up. But yeah. But yeah. So,
You ever
but
take any of your little action figures and then lay them on the train tracks and then have the train come over and run them over?
and man, look, I went as bad as to I used to make casts. So after they get hit by a train or wrestling or whatever I was doing,
Uh-huh.
I learned how to take the flour, mix it with water,
Hmm.
put it on their arm, let it harden up, put it in the freezer, let it harden up. So they usually walk around with casts and everything.
Yo, that's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
That is funny. Okay, so now let's all right. So you obviously went through some changes when you were younger, and I do want to
Mm-hmm,
come back to that, but I'm
mm-hmm,
also wondering how those changes have shaped you. So again, we'll come back to exactly
mm-hmm,
which changes you went through a little later on. But
mm-hmm,
as you got older,
mm-hmm,
and now, so let's say now, you are married to Latrice Hawkins Lights, and she is running for lieutenant governor. Now,
mm-hmm.
I want to move on to the second part of the insect. So I said the three parts of the insect are the head, the abdomen,
Right.
I'm sorry, the head, the thorax, yeah, and the
Oh,
abdomen.
right.
So that thorax, what that thorax does is it connects the head, the
Mm-hmm,
wings, the legs, the
mm-hmm,
arms, it connects all of those things. But when
mm-hmm,
you look at an insect, the attention is not on the thorax. The attention is on the things that it connects. The attention is on the head, it's on the
mm-hmm,
wings,
mm-hmm.
it's on the other parts of it. So,
Right.
but that thorax is the core. It's the thing that's in the middle and keeping everything together. With you having a wife who was running for lieutenant governor of Maryland, the attention is on her.
Mm-hmm.
But you are like the thorax, the thing that's keeping everything together. So I want you to tell me how you, in the background, were at the core of the things and keeping things together for her so that she was able to run a successful campaign.
Okay, so I had to go back just a little bit. I'm I've always been a very relaxed and calm person. Some may say that I'm too relaxed.
Hmm.
Um, that's just my demeanor. I think things through. It's not too much that I just act on. Most things I do is thought through. I'm a Capricorn, so people that believe in the astrology and stuff, yeah, I'm a thinker. But
Okay.
what helped me, I guess, fast forward, what helped me with this situation was my demeanor. I'm telling her, like, don't worry about it. I listen, I take care of everything. You focus on things you need to focus on, things you need to learn, and then at the same time, therefore, I'm like, I was the politics side, I was pretty good in social studies and stuff. And I'm just kind of political, you know.
Okay.
Um, so being able to kind of help her with certain things, to kind of explain certain things to her to help her understand, that's kind of like how we went along the whole time. But basically, for me, supporting her, I just tried to take all the weight off of her that I could. You know,
Okay.
we dealt with a lot with her illnesses, taking the medications and trying to make sure that her don't get stressed out. Don't. It was a lot. It's a lot of working too. We trying to eat right, trying to, but everything is running together. So we got nights where we don't even think about food until about 10 o'clock. It's like, oh, we ain't eat today. And we like, too late to eat tonight.
Hmm.
We might pop some popcorn and eat popcorn. That might be different. You know what I'm saying? It so, but in trying to keep all that together, yeah, it was it's just basically like I'm not a selfish person, and this is it's not my shine. I always told her that this is not my shine. This is your time. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna do whatever I can to help you attain where you want to go, and so that's how we pretty much went through this thing here.
Okay. So now, unfortunately, Ashwani and Latrice did not win, governor and lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
But when I spoke to Latrice a few weeks ago, she said to me that this is where God intended her to be.
Hmm.
So because of that, now I'm sorry, I'm still talking about the insect here. Now I'm
Hmm.
moving on to the third part of that insect, which is the abdomen. I want to talk
Hmm.
about the stomach and I want to talk about gut instinct.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, they didn't win, But again, a few weeks ago when I spoke to Latrice, she said that she was going to she said that this is where she knew God intended her to be.
Hmm.
So with that being said, that tells me that even though they didn't win, this is not the end of anything. This is the beginning of something. So, what
Right.
is your gut instinct telling you that this is the beginning of?
Well, it's funny you say that because as of even as of today, we've been talking. We just evaluating right now. Um, she definitely has direction she want to go in. Um, whether it be political or not, it's kind of a toss up.
Okay.
But we kind of just keeping the door open. Like first and foremost, we do give all praise to God. I mean, God is, and even with the question I asked earlier, being the body, that's God. God has gave us this platform. God has gave put me in a position to be able to hold it down and keep things going. So, with that being said, outside of this, we right now just sitting back and to see how everything play out. Of course, everything's not 100% done yet with the polls. For the most part, they are, but
Right.
they said they're not, but they're pretty much done.
Hmm.
So now you're looking at a situation now where some of these candidates that won their election, they may reach out. Some that didn't win that may want to start looking forward or starting something else may reach out. So right now it's a filling out moment. People right now gonna get they're gonna get their hurt out, they're gonna get their disappointment out, they're gonna get their joy out, whatever it may be.
Hmm.
I would figure probably by the end of the week and the next week, we probably would have a better view of what's going on and what's the next move. But there was times when she wasn't so much feeling this political realm. It's not for everybody. It's tough.
Right.
It's a lot of emotion. You see a lot. You hear a lot. You do a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so, but that's one of the things. I've heard people say after elections, you take about 2 weeks to yourself
Hmm.
and don't even think about it no more. And then come back after them couple weeks and then reevaluate after you clear your mind. So
Right.
that's probably pretty much what we're going to do. Just sit back for a minute and then we just reevaluate. She has been a big advocate, pushing me into, you should do politics. You should be. And initially, I was kind of like, no, that's not me. That's not me. But over throughout this election and what I've seen, I'm starting to lean more toward it. Like, yo,
Hmm.
we need we need different voices out here. We need different opinions. We need different sides of the table. Everybody can't come with the clean cut, the yes sir, no sir. No, we need a little roughness with it. We need a little realness. We
Yeah.
need people that's going to speak. This is what it is. This is where we at. Stop sugarcoating.
Hmm.
So we will see. We'll see where it go from here.
Yeah. And you know what? We need somebody who can represent the people. Oftentimes, a lot of politicians they become robotic
Right.
or they start to play the game. And when you are either robotic or you're playing the game, you are disconnecting yourself from the people
Mm-hmm.
because the people are not robotic. The people are not playing your games,
Mm-hmm.
So you need somebody that you feel that you can relate to. It's one of the things that I've always said about Obama. One of the things that I loved so much about Obama was that he
Mm-hmm.
just seemed so relatable. I know
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes me and my wife, we talked about, I was like, I would love to just sit down and have dinner with Barack and Michelle
Yeah.
because he just
Right.
seemed so relatable.
Right. Right.
you
And
know?
but you know what? At the end of the day, that's how you want to be. And it's funny enough, me and her like that. Me and Latrice, we are very open. You can sit down and have a conversation with us. You can call us. We meet you. Whatever. It's one of them things. Like I said, from what I've seen, and of course, right now I can't go into everything, but from what I've seen, I was highly disappointed at I didn't hear a lot of candidates address um, the needs of the inner city. And when I say that, like,
Mhm.
give you a prime example. The event we did at Hawkins and Dickies, just trying to get to know the public, come out, get to know Jane Hawkins Lights campaign. we had a DJ down there, and we had a elder who he was walking around and he heard the music and he dancing and moving, and Latrice went over there and danced with him. But the joy that I seen on his face
Hmm.
does a lot to me because that's how I grew up over here in Glenard. We grew up at
Right.
a time where our fathers and grandfathers and uncles and they they play music. They sip their little beers or whatever, but they danced, they had fun. You
Right.
had the VSWs where they had fun.
Mm.
That's kind of what I want back into this community.
Right.
You got right now, you got everybody scared to come outside. You got people scared to talk to other people. You got this is not the world that I started off in. Of course, I
Right.
mean I know things change, but so when you look at these politics now, they're not addressing the education point for the kids. Like they saying crime, 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 crime. Yeah, but you don't have nothing for them to do.
Right.
You got right here in Landover, between Landover and Landham, you got like four different unions between elevator, escalator, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. But they only open the doors like twice a year, and then you only let a select number of people in.
Mm.
And most of the time, it's not people of our color that get
Mm.
in. And what happens? You tell this person that now you got someone on the back burner for another year before you can reapply. A year is a long time to get into anything,
Right.
and this is part of the disconnect. So I mean, we I don't want to take those, but we go deeper than that later. But as far as back to the initial question with Latrice, she's definitely one in the medical field. That's her big thing. She really
Okay.
wants to get into the medical and help people through her experiences in the medical field, and she's strong in that. And that's why I say I don't know if it'll be politics, but wherever she can get that platform and get out there and she can do that for people.
Hmm.
That's her niche, you know. And then, I'm right there with her. I have a little. I know this is probably jumping a little ahead, but being with her, I didn't know nothing about diabetes, nothing. I knew what I seen on TV. I knew they say that you lose limbs, get fingers, toes, and stuff amputated.
Hmm.
So initially getting with her, we went through her first episode, and I was like, "What's going on?" But I remember what she told me. There's signs: sweating, fatigue, lethargicness, not talking in the right state of mind. So her prepping me for that when we went through it the first time, I was like, okay, and I'm calm. So I'm like, okay, she laid out. I went and got some candy and boom, give her a little candy, a little bit of juice.
Hmm.
Take about 5 minutes for it to kick in, and then she comes back around.
Hmm.
And she always tell me she was impressed that you didn't run away after that. You stayed here with me. And I'm like, well, I mean that's my babe. That's listen. That's what we're gonna do. I'm understand where I said that. I understand what we. I didn't. Let me say this. I didn't understand the journey we was about to go through,
Hmm.
but in hindsight, I mean, I was there every step of the way. I've never left her side. I'm like, look, we do what we gotta do. Um, and I said I don't want to jump too far ahead because I know you might want to come back to some of that stuff later on. But
Well, I wasn't going to get too deep into it. I was going to more so stick with the political side, but I
right,
think that part is actually a major, major part. Um, as a matter of fact, I am kind of glad that you did bring it up. I do want to kind of touch on that a little later,
okay,
but
okay.
just for those who, just to make everybody clear on exactly what we're talking about. So his wife, Latrice Hawkins Lights, she had type 1 diabetes,
Mm,
um, and she grew up. It was really really rough on her. And what
mm.
was it, 2020 that she got the pancreas transplant?
Yeah, it was 2020. Yeah, sorry, did she actually receive September? I know the date was 15th, 2020. Yeah,
Okay,
um, and
yeah.
that
So,
a lot of what I was talking about led up to that. That's why I said the journey up into that was yeah, we had I'm be honest with you, I would say at least one time I felt as though we almost lost her. You know, I
mhm,
was at work, and I think she told. I don't know if she mentioned the story. I'm pretty sure she did. But I was at work, and she was sitting here, and we was on the phone. I called her every morning. We talk every morning, at a certain time, and she was fine. And then all of a sudden, she started talking slurred and lethargic, and I'm like, all right, so what's going on? And she was like, okay, okay, but I could hear it. So now I'm kind of like, all right, you're not okay.
Hmm.
And one thing about a diabetic that I've learned, especially in that instance, they're not in everybody's state of mind. So when they feel as though they're okay, they're not okay.
Okay.
So she was saying I'm okay, and then she got quiet, real quiet for a while. And I'm like, babe, you there? You there? She like, she But once you start doing that, when you go from talking to you going down here and you going fast. And with her, especially with her, she started dropping. But that's what really concerned us. She started dropping really fast. So her lows, when she went down. And it was a matter of minutes. She could be
Mm.
talking to you like this, and then all of a sudden, so when she was doing that, uh, I wasn't getting no response after a while. So I hung up the phone and called back to try to, wake up. So she
Right.
did pick the phone up, but it hit the floor. I heard it hit the floor. I'm like, all right, we in trouble. I'm all the way on Andrews. I'm driving the truck, and I'm like, yo. So at the time, the first thing I did, that's what that calmness. That's called my supervisor. I said, look, I need you to go in my locker, and I love my supervisor to this day for that. I would never. We both would never forget her for that. But called us. I need you to go into the men's locker room. And my supervisor was a female, by the way. I need you to go in the men's locker room, go in my locker, gave her the combination, and get my keys out my pocket. And I need you to go to the house. She like, okay, okay. Started talking. She knew Latrice's condition.
Hmm.
So I said, I need you to go to the house. I'm not getting a response. I think she might be in trouble. And supervisor jumped right on. She said, I got it. Boom. She out the door. When she on her route, I hung up the phone, called 911. I'm telling them, look, this was going on. Need y'all to get there, A, B, and C. They like, okay, you want to stay on the phone? I'm like, no. Yeah, I just get there. So I got back to my supervisor. She called, I'm here. She found her upstairs in the bedroom, laid out. She was still semi-conscious, but it wasn't looking good. So I told my supervisor, I said, well, there's some juice packs in the refrigerator. Kind of squeeze that in her mouth and see if you can get anything in. She said her jaws was locked. I'm like, and that's what happens when the sugar dropped it. Everything locks up. So I
Hmm.
said, well, see if you can pry just a little bit and get a little bit. So she did, and didn't get a lot, but maybe just enough to keep her from going into that diabetic coma.
Hmm.
And yeah, police ambulance arrived. They came in, take over. I got probably like 5 minutes behind them. I came in, and they had her on the bed, and initially I wasn't panicking. I'm like, okay, well, look, just give her the glucagon, I forget what they call it. I think it's a glucagon, or give her the sugar and shot, and they did that, but she started losing it out of her mouth, and they said, "Oh, that's a sign that we need to get her to the hospital because she wasn't everything they was putting in was coming right back out."
Hmm.
So they opted to take her transport to the PG hospital, and got there, and thankfully they was able to get the fluids going, get things going. Took her a while to come through, but yeah, she ended up pulling through. But those were the scary times that led us into that transplant. It was introduced by her doctor. Initially, we said, no, we don't know about this. After the second incident we had, we like, yeah, maybe we should revisit this. And that's what happened. We revisited. They put her through I think it was Hopkins in the beginning. No, it was Maryland, I'm sorry, Maryland University. And she had to qualify. So she had to go through a number of tests in a day. And she had to meet these tests. And she did a great job. And the final doctor, the doctor who actually, Dr. Scalea, who actually did the surgery, um, he is the final say so. And he kind of was like, "Yeah, you should have been had this done." She was like, "No," he's like, "Nobody ever introduced you or told you about it." He's like, "Nah, nah." He's
Hmm.
like, "You should have been had this done." So he went on. I guess he's, whatever they did at the panel, they gave the okay. I say in August she got on the transplant list. September she got the call. And I'm like, "Bet we, And the whole call was funny because they actually called me because I'm sitting there, I'm at work. I never answer my phone at work. And I can see this number come up. I'm like, should I answer that? I said, okay, I answered it. And this is national transplant. This Floyd Lytes said, yeah. You know where your wife is? I'm like, yeah, she should be in the house. So initially, I started panicking. I'm like, okay,
Right.
I hope she ain't had, she not going into another episode.
Hmm.
So I was like, she was like, well, we got the we got the organ. It's a state over, but we need her consent. We know you won't say it, but we need her consent. I said, bet, I'm on. So I called her. Like, babe, what you doing? Nothing. Sitting there. The transplant said they've been calling you for like 2 hours. She said, huh? She looked at the phone. She's like, oh my God. So now everything's in fast motion. But I already knew. So I left the job, told my supervisor, she like, go. So by the time I got here, she was like, yeah, it's a go, da, da, da. But she didn't know I was pulling up. And she called
Okay.
me. I'm like, yeah, I'm already out front. Let's roll. And yeah, so yeah, made it up there. And
So, okay, that that actually even goes into the other question that I was asking about, you being the thorax, you being at
mm,
the center of things and then holding everything together. Um, but that, I mean, that just further shows how much you've done that, and
mm,
you've been doing that even since before she hit that campaign trail.
right,
Um,
right.
so,
Yeah,
okay.
we did.
Well, so what we're going to do is we're going to now move on to another picture.
Okay.
Okay. So this picture right here. Okay. So what exactly did you say you saw in this picture?
I seen the rock band symbol. Uh, First thing that jumped out of the like it belong, like a symbol to a rock band. That's what jumps out at me.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay. And I believe you said you also saw like artwork.
yeah, like the symbol, the artwork itself. It looked like it could have been a backdrop. It could be symbol on a maybe a jacket, or how you come out on the stage and there might have been yeah. So it looked like something that they would use or would be used in that setting.
Hmm. Okay. Got you. Okay. So, so my first question is I want to talk about. So, do you listen to rock music? Have you ever?
Yeah, I listen to a little bit of everything. I really
Okay.
do. I don't. Yeah, and it's
Okay.
funny because on one of my playlists at one time I was heavy. I was really into it. I'm like, man, I like it, but it puts you in a different state.
Right.
And with me, I would say I'm all over the place. I can go versatile. I go jazz. I can go. Can't give it the bluegrass. I tried, but I can go jazz. I can go. I can go a lot of different ways. But it depends on what's going on. Depend on the mood.
Uh-huh.
Rock and roll to me was like one of them things. Like if I'm trying to get it in, whether it's working or
I got you. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. So let's say, and this could be anything, not just rock music, but any genre of
Mm,
music.
mm.
What song, like if you could pick your theme song, what song best symbolizes? Because you said you saw like a rock symbol type thing, right? So
Mm.
what song best symbolizes Floyd Lights?
You know what? My favorite song, and I still play this to this day, is Phil Collins, "In the Air."
In the air tonight, yeah.
In the Air tonight. That
Yeah.
right there.
Hmm.
I don't care what day, what time, what mood. That song right there just put me in a whole different mind state.
That's one
It
of
get,
those songs where it doesn't matter how many times I hear it, I get chills.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Literally, that
Yeah,
song was powerful to me.
uh-huh. Yeah. So I get it. I get it. Okay, so now I want to talk about artwork. You say you saw artwork too.
Mhm.
So one of the things about an artist, one of the things that as far as their skills, they have to know how to be able to use light and shadows.
Mhm.
So growing up, were you somebody that wanted to be in the light or did you want to be in the shadows?
I'm behind the scenes all day. I'm shadows. I never desired the limelight. They don't, and it's funny when we say that because even when I play sports, I wanted to be great. I
Hmm.
wanted to be, you know, but I'm a team player, so I'm the type of dude that I don't mind doing the dirty work. Whether it was playing basketball, getting just rebounds, I didn't have to score, I ain't had to shoot. Whether it
Hmm.
be football, whether it's just making a play or helping somebody. I never wanted that focus. Like, yes, this is Floyd Lights, shine on me.
Okay.
And even to this day, I'm shit. But little Teresa tell you, that's okay. You don't have to talk to me. I'm good. You know, you know.
All right. So now getting back to speaking of Latrice.
Mm,
So um again, I want to still focus on artwork here, okay?
mm,
Art is about perspective. You can have two different people look at the same piece of art and see two completely different things.
mm.
When you look at your wife, you see a masterpiece. That's the art that you see when you see her. She's a masterpiece, right?
Correct. Yeah.
But again, art is subjective. It's about perspective.
Mm,
Somebody else is going to look at the same piece of art and they're not going to see what you see. You see somebody who was completely capable of being the lieutenant governor of Maryland.
mm-hmm.
There are going to be a bunch of other people who, without knowing anything about her, without ever having a conversation with her, without even hearing her speak, that are going to say she's not capable of being the lieutenant governor of Maryland. How
Mm-hmm.
does that make you feel? Not just as, look, I understand you're laid back. I get
Mm-hmm.
that, but you're still a man,
Mm-hmm.
and that's still your wife. So, how does that feel knowing that people not only feel that way, but are willing to be very vocal about it?
And it's funny you say that because I'm more so okay, baby. This was stacked against us. That's where we at. All right, let's make them eat their words. You know,
Mhm.
um, it everybody like you just said, everybody gonna have their opinion, and all opinions are not gonna be favorable.
Right.
And the way I'm kind of building myself is I'm kind of yeah, I would love in the real world, I would love everybody to love me. I would love everybody to love Latrice. I would love for everybody to say, yeah, she's the greatest lieutenant governor, the greatest thing happened, the greatest candidate we ever had.
Mhm.
But in the real world, I do understand that you're going to have your hate. You're going to have people who don't actually know her. And when you're judging from outside, you're judging. Some people are judging from their own hurt, their own insecurities. You know, they
Mhm.
look. Does she fit the prototype? What we would call lieutenant governor? Probably not. She's beautiful. She's a fresh breath of air to look at. And this is no disrespect to any other candidate or no
Yeah, you gotta
disrespect at
make that
all.
clear because they will take it that way.
Right? No, there's no. But I mean, when I'm talking about my wife, this is what I see,
Exactly.
and
Hmm.
and I would hope their spouses or whoever say feel the same way about them. But
Right. Yeah.
it
Absolutely.
in saying that, it does get a little testy at times because you feel as though dang, people not even giving her a chance. You know,
Hmm.
you don't know this woman right here. You haven't talked to her. You haven't before you judge. You have to just kind of let's see what she about. Give her a chance first. Give
Hmm.
her a chance to prove you wrong or prove you right.
Right.
However you may look at it. Um, yeah, at times it gets to you, but that inner calmness, that inner peace to say, you know what, God got this. God put His head. You're not worried about the naysayers, but
Right.
you use the naysayers to build you up, to build the platform. Because
You're
for
absolutely
everybody to say you can't, it makes it that much better when you do. So for
right.
everybody to look at it initially and say, Lieutenant Governor, how you gonna do that? How you, at the end of the day, here we are now. And she ran a great race. Her and the
Right.
Swanee both they ran great races. She Latrice actually went above and beyond in my eyes. I mean, I had to take a step back sometimes and be like, all right, you go, girl. You got it. You know what I'm saying? You got it. You're doing your thing. I mean, but
Hmm.
it showed a lot of character. So a lot of people now will look at her and be like, wow. That's the respect level is like, wow. A
Hmm.
lot of people, a lot of people say they probably would never be able to do that. You know, it's like watching sports. We look at it and be like, man, I'd have started that jumper from back at half court. I'd knock that down. Yeah, you say that. It sounds good until you in that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but
You know, a few days ago, me and my wife. So, we live probably about almost 2 hours away from you. I
mm,
live on the Eastern
right.
Shore of Maryland,
Okay.
and me and my wife were on our way to Oxford, Maryland, which is where we got
Oh,
married.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
um, it is so it was our 3 year anniversary, so we wanted to go back there, just kind of relive everything from that day, right? So as I was on my way out there, I was driving by someone's house and I said, "Oh, look, baby, they got, there's there's signs." I saw a sign in somebody's
Mhm.
yard for Ashwani Jane and Latrice. I saw
Mhm.
their campaign signs, and I was really, I meant to tell Treese that too. 'Cause I got really happy and proud knowing,
Mhm.
you have people all the way out here. It's one thing to see a sign up in a public place because that being the campaign did that.
Right.
But when you see it in somebody's yard, that's support. That right there is support. Somebody out here supporting you. So and then as I drove, I saw it in a couple other. I saw it in like two other places on our way to Oxford. So um, I thought that was real cool. I was excited to see the signs out there and to know that you had that support out here as well.
Yeah.
Um,
That that's and then at the end of the day, that goes back to your question. That's what I'm talking about. The
mhm,
ability to get through to people, all genres, all over, and make an impression of people.
mhm,
Um, very Latrice is very likable level. Her and Swanee together. I mean, they made a great team. There's no question about it. But yeah, seeing the support even in the area here when she talked, when she introduced herself, and you can see a breath of fresh air. People like, oh, for real? Yes, yes.
mhm,
It was a beautiful thing. It was a
mhm.
beautiful thing.
Right.
Um, that, and like I said, at the end of the day, the politics side of it is not her forte. That's not what she wants to be more helpful in the community, more helpful to in the help to help people, and that's her thing. But if
That's
you
what we
can,
need. We need more politicians who are not politicians.
right, yeah, makes sense, right, exactly.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
yeah, and if she's able to, if she was, if even in future, if she's able to get in through there and still work what she wants to work, that's a beautiful thing, you
Hmm.
know. But yeah, it's just, I mean, even as I told you now, just think back on some of this journey, it's been surreal, man. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, when you think back, like, yeah, the lieutenant governor, riding around with the lieutenant governor, the candidate for lieutenant governor of Maryland, you know what I'm saying? You
And
know,
married to her.
right, right. So,
Yeah, that is cool, man.
yeah,
Okay, so we're gonna get into the last picture here.
okay.
All right. So what did you say you saw here?
This was the twofold picture. I seen a colorful butterfly first, and then I seen uh, I call it looked like it looked like a person flying. Like I said, when it looked like Superman,
Hmm.
uh, maybe Spider Man, but like a flying being. Let me say that.
Okay. So two things: superhero, flying, colorful butterfly. So let's start with that superhero. So who
Mhm.
was your favorite superhero growing up?
Hmm. Initially, it was Superman.
Okay.
As I got older, it changed, but initially it was Superman. That was my mind.
Okay. Tell me this: is Batman a superhero?
Hmm. Honestly, no, but no, he's not a superhero. No,
Okay.
Batman is. I'm gonna say this. Let me see. How I can put it. Batman to me is what we see in politics to an
Hmm.
extent. Rich, inherited basic families, rich, inherited a lot of money, but through that was able to do things beyond what the imagination could take people. Yeah, his thing was to set out to help people, but I mean, and you talking about a couple different Batmans because when you look at the early Batmans and early comic books, the way Batman was a straight villain. I mean, he was a killer, you know.
Hmm.
But so I couldn't classify him as a superhero. Nah.
Okay. I agree with you. I just like asking people that
Mhm,
um, because he's not a superhero. He's
mhm,
again, he has a lot of money. He has a
Mm,
really cool belt. He
yeah,
has a
right.
really cool. He has a really cool car.
Yeah,
He has a really cool butler. Like that's. But he's
yeah,
not a superhero. He's a hero, and
right.
actually, he's my favorite. Out of
Mhm.
all of the heroes, superheroes, that whole thing, he's my favorite. I've always loved the Batman movies more than everything else. But he's not a superhero. He is a hero.
The one thing that separates him from when I use the politician is he does have um he does have a heart for people as far as protecting his.
Hmm.
So when I look at and I made a reference to politicians because I say most of them are wealthy. Most
Hmm.
of them they don't live the same lives that the average person lives.
Right.
So therefore, a politician doesn't know how to help people in per se certain areas. I'm not gonna label area, but in certain areas because they never lived that. And
Hmm.
when we look at Batman, that's one of the biggest differences with him is he will fight for his people. You
Right.
know, he won't let you just come in and no, you're not just gonna tear up his town, Gotham. You're not gonna just mess with his people.
Hmm.
If more politicians took that stance,
Hmm.
Maryland would be a totally different place.
Yeah, it would. It
you
would.
know,
The
but
country would be a, a
yeah,
different.
yeah. Go
The
far as the
world.
country,
Like, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep, absolutely, man. It's funny you said that, man. I never even really thought about that, but so much of the Batman the series, I mean, it's so much, it's political too. There's so many things,
Hmm.
that have to do with Batman that are political. They touch on
Hmm.
politics as well. So
Yeah.
um so yeah, I get that. Okay, so um my next question is okay, so you say you saw a butterfly, a
Hmm.
colorful butterfly. So
Hmm.
butterflies, they are a symbol of change. So tell me about some of the changes that you encountered growing up.
Mm. Well, like I said, well, when I was young, I was really shy. I had up until I was about 5 or 6, I was really skinny. Believe it or not, I mean, I know people can't see me now, but I was really skinny. And one reason was because I had trouble breathing and eating at the same time because I had tonsillitis. I had all types of stuff going on.
Hmm.
So about 7 years old, they removed my tonsils, adenoids, and everything. And boy, you talking about somebody that could eat and breathe, and I went for it. So I became, I blew up. Now my parents wasn't the thinnest people, but yeah, I
Hmm.
blew up. And so one of the changes I had when is getting older. I I was like, "Damn, I went from this little skinny guy to like everybody else, and now, I'm a little overweight,
Hmm.
and it bothered me. It did. Over time I did grow. I grew taller, so I did slim out a little, but I'm always gonna be thick. So I'm cool with that. But you know, s- that was probably the first thing I went through before the separation of my parents. That change in itself was like I say, that was different. I was a straight A student up until then. And when that happened, I kind of veered off. And I look back now today and I don't know if it was rebellion. I don't know if it was the focus. I can't pinpoint what it was, but the hurt of my father and mother not being together and me being split between the two,
Hmm.
it sent me in a different direction. You know, and don't get me wrong, my mother, she tried everything to keep me happy. Remember I said she moved to Severn, Maryland, Oldison, but she would bring me down to Landover every day to make sure I was able to get on the bus and catch the bus with my friends to go to school. Yeah, we had to get up at like 3:30 in the morning, but that was part of the sacrifice that she was willing to make, and I guess I was willing to make to be around my friends. In
Hmm.
hindsight, she was correct. I probably should have stayed out with her. Um, you
Yeah.
know, but that was that was one of the biggest changes in my life. Unfortunately, I lost my mother in 1999 to murder suicide. Um,
Oh man, I'm
she
sorry.
actually was still staying out there. Yeah, she was still staying out there in Severn. She had remarried, and the guy, one day I get a call, got took his life and then hung himself, took his life. That right there was the point. It changed for a lot of things, good, bad. Yeah, that was a time. Um,
How old were you?
at that time, I believe I was 20, 19 or 20.
Okay.
Maybe 21. It was between there. It might have been 2021 because I was
Mhm.
77. It might have been 2021. Um, I, I I was one of them type of people. I always work jobs. So my father always preached to me about work, work, work. And so even before then, I had three jobs. I was working at like Blockbuster, Coca-Cola, and UPS all at the same time. Of course, different. The shifts was different, very.
Mhm.
But at that when that had happened, I was at Circuit City, and I had just got promoted to the sales floor, which for me was big. I'm like, hey, I want to show moms that I can make it out here. I'm grown. And before I started on the sales floor, I tried to call her, contact her, and let her know. Oh, guess what? I'm full time now. I'm on the sales floor. I'm moving up in the world.
Mhm.
And for 2 days, I couldn't get in contact with her, which was different. But she did work. She worked at Howard County General as a sleep study. So I guess they were nice, and she was been in work. So I didn't deep down. I kind of felt something might have been wrong,
Mhm.
but I was kind of like, okay, that's she'll get back to me. But that second day, I was literally at Circuit City, and they came back there, and the supervisor had this long look on his face. I'm like, what's wrong with him? And the lady, Miss Pearl, and I forget her, Miss Pearl, everybody was kind of teared up. I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? And they put my grandmother in front. My grandmother at the time was like, she's hysterical. You need to go home. You need to go home right now. And I'm like, go home for what? I'm at work. That was literally, this was my, that's what I say, my laid back is a gift and a curse. So I'm like, okay, what I need to go home for? In my mind, I kind of knew something was right, but my grandma was like, you just need to go home. You need to go home. I'm like, grandma, tell me what's wrong. She's like, your mother, she dead. And I was just like that. I'm like, mm. I said, okay. I hold the phone. So everybody at Circuit City looking at me like, you okay? You all right? I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so one of my coworkers, Tiana, she was like, I'll take you home. I'm like, fine. Wasn't until I hit the door and leaving Circuit City that I broke down. I was like, dang. And so yeah, that was part of the change point. I got home and that whole ordeal was crazy. I got home and you got detectives calling you from Anne Arundel. It happens Anne Arundel County, so you got detectives calling you. You got reporters calling you. You got yeah, and like I said, I was about 2021, so
Mhm.
that emotion was yeah, that was a crazy time for me, and that affected a lot of the sense I made going forward because I was lost. And imagine I'm my only child, so I'm lost. That
Mhm.
person that you had there to talk to was no longer there.
Right.
That one person understood everything that you tried to say and everything it's no longer there. So yeah, my father was a good guy, but my father was a father. He don't tell you he's not the one that's gonna be like, man, I love you. He's not the one that's gonna be, man, I'm gonna hug you. Nothing. Now he kind of straight and looking at you like he hurt, but he's not gonna show it.
Right.
So I lacked that emotional support during that time.
Mhm.
And I know I did have a lot of support from friends and family. They called, but that was the time that, and I tell the truth all the time. That little gap right there changed everything. It changed a lot in my life about my focus, where I wanted to go, what I was doing. Because at that time I had no clue. I
Right.
was very vulnerable, and you know, I made decisions that probably, I made a lot of decisions that was questionable because I didn't think them through, and I didn't have nobody to consult with, and
Right.
you know, but yeah, so going forward, yeah, that changed my life. And then from there, it was just a matter of figuring out life, figuring out what I wanted to do. I went to school, I went to college a few times. I was mentioning to you before that I'm one of them type of people. I'm all over the place. Like I'm open to everything. There's
Mhm.
nothing off limits to me. I mean, I believe in God, but I believe in space. I believe in aliens. I believe I'll pick up a book and read anything. I'm gonna come to my own conclusion.
Hmm.
If I do, I do. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. There's no judgment, you know.
Hmm.
But when saying that, yeah, I went a lot of different directions. Man. I went to school. I went for computers, criminal justice, auto mechanics. You go down the list. Biology, chemistry. I wanted to be chemistry major one time. I went to forensics. I wanted to be forensics. I wanted to get into the police department to do front. I was all over. But what I realized at that time was people were saying, you need to settle on one thing. No, it actually helped me because now I was well versed in this world in a lot of different areas. Didn't need a degree, psychology. I mean, I figured that if I'm gonna spend money on things that gonna help me in this world. So I took these classes and no, I don't have no degree to show. You know, am I mad about it? Nah. Because that experience and what I learned has helped me be well rounded now. It's helped me in this adventure now, in this venture, I'm sorry. Uh, even with Latrice, with the campaign, with the
Right.
health, all this ties in together. I mean, God's plan, yeah, you know, but so yeah, that stretch changed a lot of my life.
Okay.
Changed a
Um,
lot of the way I look at life.
did you decide to get into forensics and criminal justice after your mother was killed?
I, criminal justice was actually first. Well, so when I first I came out of Duval in 1995. I'm
Hmm.
telling my age, but you know, came out in 1995, and I initially went to PG College. Not, I'm sorry, I initially went to Lincoln Tech. I was in the mechanics,
Hmm.
and I quickly realized that, Mom, you getting this. She at that time she was still before she passed.
Hmm.
She it got helped me with get the loan and everything. And I'm looking at it, I said, Mom, how much the school cost? She like 40,000. 40,000. And I'm looking over there teaching me. I'm like, man, I learned this on the street. So I left Lincoln Tech. I'm like, nah, this ain't for me.
Hmm.
And I told her, I said, you know what? I always wanted to be a police officer. I don't know what it was. So I told her, I said, you know what? I want to pursue criminal justice and computers. Those are my loves. So end up going to PG. And that's where I was into the computer, criminal justice. But then my mind expanded again. So during that time, that's when my mother passed. And that's why I
Hmm.
said it's changed everything. And now I'm sitting here like, took some classes that I don't know why I took them. And then I started looking at it like, okay, you know, like psychology. Why I say psychology? I was like, am I mentally something wrong with me? Am I crazy? Am I, you know? But I ended up doing so well in that class that the professor was impressed. He was like, man, you know, I literally wrote, and I found that not too long ago. I literally wrote a 4-page paper on concussions. This is before the Will Smith movie. This was back in the early 2000s. And I wrote it literally in one night.
Hmm.
And when he graded, he's like, man, this is impressive. He said, what did you do to research? And literally like one night, I mean, I was just picking up articles, books, and I'm just boom, boom, okay. Da, da, da. And he was like, man, you know, you ever think about taking this psychology as major? I'm like, no. I don't even know why I took the class. And yet alone, but you know, my thing was it, early world history. History. I'm a history buff. I love history. I love watching Discovery Channel. Right?
Hmm.
Knowledge is key to me.
Okay.
Just getting to know as much as I can know. So, is it a gift and a curse? It is, because I don't have just one thing that I can sit down and say I'm good at. There's multiple things, and there's multiple things I'm experienced at. So,
And I think that's good to be that well rounded. It also helps you to adapt to change because
mm,
you're experiencing so many different things, and the world it's constantly changing.
mm,
So because you are so used to change, it's easier for you to change with the world, or to even understanding that you have to walk into certain rooms and you have to be one way in one room, you may have to be another way in another room, and it's not that you are faking. It's not like you're
mm,
trying to be something that you're not. When you're walking into different rooms, you're just able to tap into different parts of your personality because you've experienced so much, and because it's easy. It's really easy for you to change. Speaking.
mm. I
I'm
was
sorry.
gonna say just it's just like going back to the whole chat when my mother passed in that stretch. living at the time I was living in Glenard. But one thing about me, I'm not a follower. I don't do as others just because everybody was doing it. I was able to, if it didn't feel right to me, I say what y'all want to say. I'm going this way,
Right.
my own mind. I try to preach that to people, man. Have your own mind. Don't be scared.
Right.
It kept me out of it. I had trouble. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's the truth of it. But
So, all right, I got one more question about change.
mhm,
So, I want you to tell me, how has watching your wife, how was
mhm,
watching Latrice go from having diabetes
mhm,
to no longer having diabetes
mhm,
to running for lieutenant governor of Maryland? How has it
mhm,
changed you?
mm. It's changed me in a lot. It changed me in a lot of different ways. Whereas, so initially having diabetes and learning what I've learned over the years with her
Hmm.
about the diabetes, it changed me from a health perspective. Like she always tell me, "You're pretty good in health. You did." And I'm on that, like I said, I'm always, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. I don't ever want to, I don't ever want to shine. But in reality, yeah, I have become because what happens is I had to help her diagnose a lot of what was going on. There were
Okay.
times when doctors was she looking for answers, she in here crying, she in pain, this isn't going on. She looking for answers, and
Mhm.
they gave her a lot of the runaround or couldn't tell her exactly what's going on. So guess what? We in the book. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So look, this. And a lot of times, more times than none, we were right.
Mhm.
And so I became that 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 made our bond that much tighter. Cause she looked at me like, "Hell, you're not running. You're here. You're helping me. You're not." And like, nah, I'm always gonna be here. So it changed me to a point where, from that aspect, I had to be more. What's the word I'm looking for? I had to be more aware. I had to be more giving of myself and understanding
Mhm.
because there were times when I want to do something. And she like, man, I just don't have the energy.
Right.
And, sometimes you may get an attitude like, but then it helped me bring to that point like, oh, this is not about me. This is about her, and she's not feeling well. We have to get her better in order to do things.
Right.
Leading up to the transplant, now it's changed me because our life is better. I don't have to, though we still were, we still worry is not the word. We still are very cautious. We're still very in tune to if something not right, especially with her. She'll tell you she'll tell you in a second, something ain't right. I don't feel right.
Mhm.
And a lot of times I'm being a calm one. I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? Let's diagnose this. Let's figure this out. And if it gets to a point where me and her can't figure it out and it's like it's getting too bad, then we need to go to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? But I don't even know if I could really put in words from day one. From the time now we dated in high school. Let me back up a little. We dated in high school. In high school, I didn't know anything about her having diabetes. We didn't talk about it. So in hooking back up in 16, we've crossed paths a few times before then, but 16, hooking back up and actually learning about diabetes, that was the challenge.
Mhm.
That was the challenge. So from going to learning everything about diabetes to the transplant to her living to see a smile on her face is the beautiful thing there. For her to be able to wake up and not look like not look like she on some type of drug or something, like for her to
Yeah.
be able to pop up and be like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to, you can eat what you want. And she still eats diabetic, don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But she can eat whatever she want to eat to an extent. I mean, they got certain recommendations, but for the most part, she can eat whatever she want to eat.
Mhm.
Um, but that smile and that comfort for her getting up and not worrying about passing on right now
Right.
is big. Because at one point she would tell me, "Babe, I don't know how long I'll be here," and that was hurtful. It's like, man, what can we
Yeah.
do? What can I do?
Right.
So and then leading up to the campaign, that's what I say it's a proud moment to see her walk and to see her now, yeah, candidate for lieutenant governor.
Mhm.
Like literally, man, I couldn't. And I'm not one. I don't show a lot of emotion. I smile a little bit. I laugh, but and I don't know if she knows it how proud I am of her, But really, I really am. I'm like, Even yeah, it's like I said, it's amazing, man. We got 4 kids, and to be able to manage what we manage, and do what we do, and the kids are good. They working, they learning, know, but yeah, yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing. It's a
Mhm.
beautiful thing,
Well, that's
and
good.
and actually to still see her fire, like this is not the end. Her fire is still like, yo, I want to help people. It just made her more hungrier to want to get into that field to help people.
Yeah,
So
and that's why I asked you earlier, what does your gut instinct tell you as far as what's coming next? Because I know that this is just the beginning, and I know
mhm,
you probably know a lot more than I do that this is just the beginning of something. So, um,
mhm,
I just I can't wait to see what it is. You both have incredible
mhm,
stories. I believe that God put you two together for a reason, and I have no idea what's in store for you for the two of you, but I can already tell that it's something powerful and it's something big, and I think that it's going to make an impact um, in a way that you probably can't even imagine right now.
mhm. Yeah,
You know.
I believe. It's one thing that I always say. Like my father. My father was one that was telling you how he is. He really didn't take to nobody. But
Mhm.
what really cemented it for me was he. And this was at a time when he just got diagnosed with cancer. Now I lost my father. It's been 5 years now to cancer.
I'm
Um,
sorry to hear that.
but he accepted her. We was in the hospital, and he introduced her as Latrice as, hey, this is my daughter-in-law, which meant a lot to me. I'm like, I had to look at him like, hey, okay, all right, well, that. Um, so yeah, I hear what you're saying because this journey is something special, something powerful. A-
Uh-huh.
any given day, any one of us could have rolled out and be like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with that.
Right.
But we understand the mission. We listen. We are here for a reason. God brought us together. We're a good couple. Is every
Mhm.
day great? Nah. That's real life, real world. Nah.
Of course,
But it's
yeah.
how you work through it. It's how you get through it.
Mhm.
She has a thing where, I'm in total agreement. We never gonna go to bed angry. You
Right.
know, at some point in time that night, we're gonna be like, look, let's wrap this up. We good. Let's move on. You know, and it works for us. It,
Yeah.
uh, but
It's
so what is to come in the future? Yeah, Latrice Hogan's lights. I would say that the future is bright, and probably sooner than later,
Mhm.
if I can bet on it, sooner than later, we'll be having another interview about something else you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but
I know it's not spelled the same, but there's a reason that both of you all's last name is Lights.
yeah,
There's a reason. So
yeah. Her pastor of the church gave her the name Shining Light, and
yeah,
you know that's what she is. She said she
yeah,
stands out above.
yeah,
She stands out above the rest. That's for sure.
yep, yep, definitely. Okay, man. So look, what I'm going to do now is a little portion of the show I call flip the script.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take all of the pictures that I showed you and I'm going to turn them upside down.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you what I see
Okay.
with the pictures turned upside down. So based off of what I see, you can choose any one of those pictures and ask me a question based off of what I see in those pictures. Okay, so here's this one upside down. So let me go back here. So this is the picture right side up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the one where you said you saw the artwork or the rock band symbol, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So upside down, this looks to me, yo, do you remember the movie Little Shop of Horror?
Yeah.
So this
Sure
looks
do.
like, yeah, this looks like that big plant in Little Shop of Horror. The one's like Feed Me Seymour, that one. It looks
Yeah.
like that in the middle, but it looks like it has braces, but the
Mm,
braces are on an overbite.
mm, mm.
So
Yep.
All right. So the next picture, you said here you saw the face of an insect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
here's that same picture upside down. And to me, I see two penguins that are standing on top of ostriches.
Hmm. Interesting. I could. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Okay, okay. I'm
Yeah.
surprised. Oh, I can definitely see somebody seeing the penguins. I didn't know if you were going to actually see them standing on top of the
Well,
ostriches.
well, no, because I could. When you say ostriches, I can see that. I see the two legs. I see the
Okay,
broad body, but I
uh,
also see two. They're like maybe furries that are
okay,
face to face.
uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Okay. And here's the third picture.
Mm,
This is the one you say saw a colorful butterfly or a figure flying like Superman. And
mm.
here's the picture upside down. And upside down, it looks like a cartoon character laying on a piece of bloody toast.
Wow.
I think something's wrong with me, man.
You know what? You know, when you flip that sign, you know what it reminded me of?
What's that?
Voltron.
You said
Reminded me of
Voltron?
Voltron.
Oh, yes, it does. I see that. I do see that.
Yeah.
All right. So, what question do you want to ask me based off of which picture?
That first picture,
So, the first
the
picture
very
is
first one.
this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This picture is very it's interesting to me because you say you seen Little Shop of Horrors flipped up when it was flipped upside down,
Uh huh.
and I said I seen like a symbol, a rock band.
Right.
So I guess I would be like to you, Little Shop of Horrors.
Hmm.
Are you big into horror films?
No, I can't stand them.
You can't
I,
stand
no, because they don't do anything for me. I'm not. They don't
them?
scare me. There was
Mm-hmm.
now. Let me say this. There was one movie when I was a kid. It scared the absolute crap out of me. I don't remember what the movie was. I remember the
Mm-hmm.
name of the movie. All I remember was some kid went into a closet, and at the top of the closet there was a Ouija board, and the Ouija board just fell down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to remember. I believe this was the same movie. This may have been a different movie now I think about, but for some reason I'm thinking it's the same movie. But there was somebody. They were like wearing a cloak, this big cloak in there, and it was covering their face as well. And they just kept moving. They were like step to the side, and their hands were doing this. I have no idea why that freaked me out, but the way they were moving, it did something to me. And I said, "Yo," and it freaked me out. But as I got older, I would watch scary movies, and I'm like, it just does nothing for me. It doesn't scare me. So the ones that are not demonic,
Mm-hmm.
they just don't scare me. The ones that are demonic, I'm not watching because they're demonic.
Okay, so me and you on the same page there. Like Poltergeist was the scariest movie ever for me.
I've
To
never
this day, I
seen
really don't like watching it. But
it.
not scared. I just don't like watching it. That's one of little ventriloquist dogs under the bed
Right.
and grab all that. But as far as demonic stuff, we on the same page. I don't do anything that invites anything into
Hmm.
my world.
Exactly.
So when they do stuff with the demons, whether it be I guess along the lines of the what you call them, the Exorcist stuff like that. I don't do
Right.
no Exorcist movie. I don't
Right.
do any movies where you're involving religion.
Mhm.
As far as in the horror world,
Right.
yeah,
Hmm.
I stay away from it. Now I do love my scary movies, but them type,
Hmm.
I don't get into all that. Mm.
Yeah.
They can have that. I used
Yeah.
to deliver for Coca-Cola, and I had to deliver up the step, down there by the steps where the Poltergeist was in Georgetown. Not Poltergeist,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, and you know, when I first went there, I didn't know the history on it. And they
Right.
said, you know, that those are the steps for the Exorcist. And I looked, and I said, well, I won't be going down them steps, you know. But yeah, so you know,
Yo, you remind me. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tell this one really quick story, and then we got to get out of here because I try. I normally try to keep the podcast around an hour. We're at an hour 15 minutes now. So,
Right.
but I'm gonna tell this real quick story. So I'm an actor, and
Mm,
I played this guy named Tavon White, who was the leader of the Black Guerrilla Gang in Baltimore. I
mm,
played. It was a show on BET called um, Criminals at Work,
okay.
and I played him, and we shot this at Lorton Jail. Now,
Okay.
at the time, the facility was already shut down, so there's no electricity, there's
Mm,
no running water, there's nothing out there, right?
mm-hmm.
So in the holding area, like where we went, where everybody was just kind of congregating until it was your turn to go. Now I was the lead, so for the most part, I was just in about almost every scene. But
Mm,
when I did finally get a break, I went. I went and I just wanted to just relax because I was tired. I was just filming. I mean, we're talking about like 14, 15-hour days, right? So I'm like,
mm,
all right, I just need a break. So I went into that room and I just sat down in this chair, and it was next to this fenced in area, right?
mm, mm-hmm.
And somebody said, that's where they used to keep the electric chair, right?
Oh, wow.
I got
Yeah.
up and started walking
Yeah.
away. But what really reminded me about that is when you were talking about those steps. So I
Yeah.
stepped on the other side of this thing, right? And when I went on the other side, it took you into another little room, and I just
Mm,
kind of walking around. Again, there's no electricity. Now it's daylight,
right.
but there's no electricity. So I'm kind of looking around and whatever, and then it led to some steps. And then there were people talking about, well, I'm going to go down those steps. I want to say, cool, you can go down there. You may not come back, but you can go down there
Yeah.
all you want. It's like, nah, man, I checked out. I went back in, and luckily they said, look, we need you for another scene. Cool, get me out of
Right. He was
here.
quick out there.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, there's certain things you just don't play with, man.
Nah,
Like,
man, don't play with that stuff. Mm-mm.
yeah. It was real quick though. Just real quick. I volunteered at the hospital, PG hospital, when I was before I graduated. I needed a credit,
Uh-huh.
and they put me in a pharmacy, but I had to deliver the medications to certain floors. But
Mm,
one day they sent me down to the basement, uh, to the where they store the body, the morgue.
mm,
And when I went downstairs in PG, the first time I've been down there, and it was a green room, green wall, and it's dim light, and it's quiet. And so when I get to the door where I had to put the medication, the doctor was nobody in it, but there's bodies on the table, they're in the bag,
mm.
and one of the bodies released gas as I was walking in the room, and it set up. Needless to say, I hope the doctor found his medicine, because yeah, that always stick out to me. I didn't
Yo,
know at
you
the time, but they
serious?
explained it to me. Yeah, they explained it to me later, saying that the bodies, sometimes build up gas that will, um, I guess, cause the body to move, to sit up. Yeah.
Nah, you supposed to tell me that before I go down there. You ain't supposed to let me come back and tell you what happened.
Hey, man, they found it so funny. I didn't. I was like, yo. But
Man.
yeah, yeah,
Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy.
yeah,
Well, look, man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up, man. I just want to thank you so much for your time, man, and for sharing those stories.
yeah.
Um, I think that again, I just think that there are some incredible things coming for both you and Latrice, and I just can't wait to see exactly how things go for y'all, man.
Yeah.
So
I definitely want to thank you, and I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate the platform that you give. Do want to say, yeah, be on the lookout for Latrice Hawkins Light. That's my babe. That's my world. She,
absolutely, yep,
whether
yeah,
we be together, well, whatever we do, we're gonna be together. But
yeah, right.
it, we coming. We
Yeah.
coming.
All right, man. So before we get out of here, I got one more picture. I want you to tell me exactly what you see here.
This podcast is so dope.
And I
Yes, it
couldn't
is.
agree more.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for your time, man. I really enjoyed this, man. It was very
Yeah,
insightful. And
yeah.
and again, just looking forward to everything that you all have going on. So you just keep stay positive, keep being that thorax, and just keeping everything together.
Hey,
And
look. you're family. So let me I say this to you now.
Uh,
You're always gonna be on this table where we at, and it's always a seat here for you. So when we make moves and when we, yeah, you will know,
yeah,
you will know.
man, hey, and vice versa, because y'all are my family too. So, all right. And for everybody else up there, y'all be good to each other.
All right.